Hi, this is Breaking New Ground, where we look at South African housing issues and how they affect you. I'm Eric Meehan. Many hands make light work is an English phrase that is the foundation of the modern-day production process. It means the more people are involved, the easier the work. It also applies to building houses. The more workers you have, the faster the house goes up. Now, what if those people came from your community? What if, instead of getting a contractor, you built your house yourself, together with your neighbors, friends, family, and others near you? What if your community put together all its skills and knowledge, and with technical support, build its own homes? This is what the people's housing process is trying to encourage, and it is the reason why we are here at Oukasie, Brits, in the Northwest Province. Oukasie, as its name implies, is one of the older communities in the Northwest Province. Targeted for lying too close to the whites-only town of Brits, it is noted for its struggle against forced removals. The resilience of this community has guaranteed its survival, and this is reflected in its willingness to embrace new strategies to improve its housing conditions.
Ke na le mengwaga 22 ke le mo Brits ke nna ka mogara mokhukhu ke na le bana ba ba 3 mokhukhu a rona ko monyane ga ona motlakase ke ne ke nna le bana ka mogara mokhukhu ne re nna mo wona re sa khone re pitlagana ka mogara mokhukhu o sna privacy ka mogare o sna motlakase re sa khone go nna metsi a tsena ka mogara mokhukhu.
PHP is a viable housing strategy in cases where people want maximum involvement in the process, where they want to get something more than just the house out of it, where they want to influence the design, or where they want to influence the quality, or perhaps manage the process. It can be very empowering for people, so lots of people become involved because they want to develop through the process of building the house.
Nne ke tsamaya ke le mo Oukasie ka kra group ya basadi bantse ebe ke ya go bona ke batla go bona gore go etsagala mo groupung eo he ke tsena ke kra ba kgobokane ba bua ka nna interest ka se ne ba se bolela ebe ke tsena re nna mo fatshe re le bomme ba mpolella ka savings scheme ba ntlhalosetsa ka nna interest ke ge re tswella pele.
It's not very practical for people to come together in a housing process because it's very technical in its nature, and so that's often very intimidating. In the case of PHP, you're talking about low-income communities, and they often lack the knowledge and the skills to tackle a housing project from scratch.
He ke tsena mo savings scheme ra save wa qualifier same day o tseneng ka yona re ntsha 50 cent ka letsatsi, and then ke contributile 26,000 or ke age ntlo ga ina gore e tsa sebaka se se kanang ka yona solanka le ba bantshi mo mokhatlong le berekisa tšhelete ya motho la group lona la ntsha tšhelete eo e nna gore la tšhelete ya lona e nna e ntshi la aga ba botlhe gore o ntshitse bokae a itsamaitse ka 1111. Ke simolotse mokhatlo ka 1996 re ntsha di daily saving re save 50 cent ka letsatsi until 2006 ke ntshitse 26,000 ebe ke re go kwanya re ke aga ntlo ka yona.
If the beneficiary is involved in the design and the construction process, and if they're properly empowered through the preparation of the PHP project, then it can guarantee, and usually does guarantee, a better end product. When people understand what can be compromised on the building site, does a wall have to be square or plumb? Does a foundation have to be laid according to particular standards? If they understand that that directly translates into the quality or a good quality house, then they often monitor that very effectively and make sure that the relevant standard or the necessary standard is achieved.
Ke itumeletse o aga ntlo ke startile ka stena go duba daka le ge ke fufulelwa ke lapa mara at least go bofelong ke gone o tsena ka mogara ntlo re sa lebella ntlo fela mo mokhatlong re lebelletse dilo tse ngata mokhatlo o re thusa ka dilo tse ntšhi not ka ntlo fela Ke ithutile ho duba daka. Skills se ke skreileng go tsa ditena ke di bea fale ke tsa cement ka itse go mejara hona no hore ke loke ke kenya di griver tse kana tsa santa ke khona o lokela di.
When people are involved in a PHP project, you have the added benefit that they actually understand the value of the house as an asset. And so it's very rare that someone who's been involved in building their own house would sell it for less than it's actually worth. That's got a big benefit because government is really trying to build an asset base at the bottom end of our community through its housing program. And that's done very effectively in PHP.
Ke entlu ya ka e fedile e ntse re 3 weeks ore e fele go etsa complete we penta ka mogare go ilokela di tile go ilokela mafestere e ntse re ngwaga otle and then ke thabela gore ke be ke tsene ka montlu e fedileng e kgolo ke lokisitse ntlu ya ka mogare ke pentile ke loketse di festere di garteini di raka di wardrobe e nice ntlu ya ka mogare ka itumella yona.
Often people think that PHP is just about sweat equity and beneficiaries getting involved in building their houses. In the traditional sense, PHP is really about a lot more than that. PHP builds high levels of confidence in communities, amongst community leadership, but also amongst the ordinary household members who are involved in the PHP project. And what that does is that people start to see that they can chart their own course, that they can solve their own problems. And that benefit you really can't put a price on when people stop sort of passively waiting for somebody else to start dealing with their needs, but where they actually start saying, I could build my house, that means I can start a business, that means I can I can educate myself. At that level, the self-confidence boost for people involved in the process is tremendous.
PHP as a mokgatlo fela o berekang ka dintlu ke agile ntlu after ntlu ke ge ke adima tšhelete ke thoma business e leng yaka ha ra lebella fela dintlu re lebelletse le business e re tswela mosola thata ke mo businessing ke itse everything ke na le di skills tsa business.
Welcome back. This is Breaking New Ground. The People's Housing Process, PHP for short, is one of a range of options open to South Africans in need of housing. It has helped thousands of people build bigger and better homes with government subsidies. We have come here to the Mamabolo Hall to talk about PHP and how it can add value to your life. My guests today are Michael Makwela from Planet. They are in the housing space and he's an expert on PHP. We have Patrick Matsimela, who manages the Oukasie savings scheme. From the government, we have Popi Mapunye, who is the project coordinator of housing in the Madibeng municipality in Northwest Province. And of course, we have Jemina Mukwena, who you just saw in the inset. Popi, let me start with you. What's the idea behind PHP?
People's Housing Process is one of the government's housing subsidy programs, which is aimed at assisting South African citizens who fall within a certain bracket, who would like to build bigger and better houses.
When you say a particular bracket, is that an earning bracket?
Yes, an earning bracket.
And what would that be?
In order for you to qualify, you have to earn below 3,500 rands.
Okay. Michael, I mean, you guys at Planet work with this all the time. How does it differ from an RDP house, for instance, the PHP process?
Well, as May has correctly said, PHP is a developmental process wherein beneficiaries or community willingly come together to use the natural, financial, and social process to build houses for themselves. It differs from the RDP because when you talk about RDP, there is an element of non-participation of beneficiaries. Whilst in the PHP process, participation of beneficiaries is at the core and at the center of the process itself. Ideally, you need to belong to a group because the subsidy is allocated to a group. That's how the subsidy model is designed.
Jemina, why usaya ko RDP, for instance? King William PhD.
RDP it's a sebaka, that's why ke saya ko yona. Mokgatlo wa rona re kokogantsha ka speed be re ikeletsa ka speed. RDP it's a sebaka 5 years 10 years. That's why ke sa khona o ya ko yona.
What are the things that people should look out for? What makes it work best?
I think, as the colleagues they have said, the issue is like people should organize themselves. We do have the support organizations, and we go to the communities. The issue is not like housing. The issue is like how do we get together and make sure that what we want to achieve. Then we do go to and open doors to the local government, take some negotiations with the local government, put in the proposal to the local government. From the local government, it's when then they'll approve the business plan of what we want to do.
Michael, do you have any idea how many people nationally are using PHP?
The statistics are saying 3% of the houses that have been built throughout the country are PHP. It's quite a significant number of people that have got an interest in the PHP process.
Could you just break down how government pays for a PHP house? Does somebody build a foundation, then you'd release some money, then they do that, or do they build the whole house? How does it work exactly?
The procedure that we follow, in most instances, you find that people already have material or they've had savings, they can kickstart building their own houses. What happens then is once their subsidy applications are approved, it's then that we can access funding from our provincial department. What happens is then that the support organization will submit claims to us as the municipality on the number of foundations they have constructed. We go to site and inspect such foundations. If we are satisfied with the product, we further prepare claims forward to province, and that's then that province will release funds to us as the municipality in order for the houses to be paid to the support organizations.
And then you'll go back again when the walls have come up, and the same process again.
Yes.
Then they put up the roof, and then the next process again. How has it been for you, Jemina, this process? Has it worked well for you?
No.
What was wrong with it?
Ne ke batla o lebisa mo popi ha e bereke the way le bolelang ka teng ka re tšhelete ya lona e tsa sebaka gore e fitlhe mo bathong ba tshwantseng ba e bereke.
I put up my foundations as an organization. How long from the time I put in the claim, you put in the claim, and the money comes back to me?
Well, usually it takes a period of 30 days.
So it's about a month.
Yes, about a month.
From the NGO perspective, we would like to make a recommendation that the subsidies for the PHP be ring-fenced, be protected, so that they are not being used for other things. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is the issue of procurement. When you look at the procurement that the municipalities use, complies with the MFMA. And when you look at how PHP functions, it should be exempted from the strict and stringent procurement processes that municipalities follows. And so the issue of procurement is very important. That's why there's a delay of the flow of money. Thirdly, it's important that we recognize that PHP is an effort by poor communities to house themselves. And so why is it that government wants to put in stumbling blocks when people are taking initiatives to house themselves?
We should remember that government has systems and a responsibility to protect the funds. Thus, when claims are submitted to the municipality, we cannot just pay immediately. We have to go to site, inspect the houses, ensure that houses which are being claimed are being built indeed. In order for a municipality to be granted funds directly from national, if I may put it that way, the municipality needs to be accredited.
Patrick, I listen to Michael and I hear, stumbling blocks with government. I go to the government and they say, no, it's systems and procedures. You're implementing these PHP projects on the ground. Where do you think the middle ground is? Where do you think what do you think is closer to the truth?
There's not a lot of things that we need from the municipality. What we need is just technical support from them, and we need only money from them, so that the project should not take long.
Michael, you guys have these ideas. which seem fantastic, correct? Now, why don't you engage government?
We have been engaging with the government. Remember, all the PHP projects that are being implemented, whether it's in Oukasie, whether it's in Vosloorus, and other places, by NGOs and community-based organizations, those are pilots. And the purpose of pilots is to say to government, we have implemented this PHP project in this fashion, and they seem to work. And these are the reasons why they work, and these are the reasons why they don't work. And so we're making those recommendations to government. And I must say that government is receptive.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at how PHP is being implemented on the ground. Please stay with us.
It's about communities coming together, planning and tackling shared problems collectively. And so in that sense, it's really about building social capital in communities where people start seeing themselves as the partners of government in the delivery of services and not as passive beneficiaries. And when we start changing that dynamic in South African society, we start changing the nature of our democracy and building real citizenship.
Every Saturday, we got a meeting, the savings scheme meeting, and each and every member contribute money. On Monday, we come to the office, we keep the records, the books up to date, and we select treasurer, the one that is going to take the money to the bank, and she must bring us the statement. Working the books also taught me that each and every cent count. That also gave me self-confidence, and I can also be helpful to other people, not only within the scheme.
Typically in a PHP project, people would need some kind of external support, some outside agency to play some kind of facilitative role to help them manage and drive the process together.
In our development meeting, we normally try to keep our community closer so that they should understand. You learn how to read the plan. You learn how to choose the square meter of a house you want, how to negotiate with the suppliers to give you better prices and the quality of the material.
Se ke se ratileng mo ageng ke ithutile go differa di price go lebella gore se se feng se right se se feng se wrong, and then ke a itse gona nong gore di price tsa material di tšhatšha ka khona bona he ke tshwele ke lebelletse ka khona bona gore le se ke feng e seng le se ke feng e be ke tsa e tshwanetseng tšhelete ya ka. Ga o reka material le tshwantse o tsamaye mo o differe di price o tsamaye o lebelle gore price e le se ke feng o kgone go reka se ka no tsa fe wa reka fela o differe di price.
PHP projects are very effective for job creation. We've seen in the PHP projects we've supported over the last 10 years that people acquire very useful skills in construction management or site management. Very often people who've managed the PHP project will be recruited into jobs by contractors and other developers who need people on the ground sort of managing the interface between them and their potential beneficiaries.
Nna ke nna Lebogang Mashale go Voka nna mo projecting ena ke ithutile go mixa taka nna for gona nong ga ise ke age ntlo mara ke ikemiseditse go aga like gona bjanong ge ke ithutile go mixa taka le samente ke ikemiseditse gore le ge moagi a ka fitlha a nkera ke le teng ke nosi ke kgone go mo thusa mo nka tswelletsa mmereko mo teng.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching Breaking New Ground. One of the things I like a lot about the people's housing process, Mike, is the sense of community it seems to create. But surely that's not the easiest thing to do.
It's one of the most critical things that happens in the PHP process, that of social mobilization. One, it takes time. It needs a person who's got heart and belief.
But then what makes it expensive?
The process itself, mobilizing people.
Is it the length of time?
It is the length of time. it is making sure that you build the capacity of the community to be able to decide, to manage and implement the project itself. A support organization's role is to make sure that it assists the community to realize its objective.
Now, at what point do communities actually save money?
Right from the beginning of the process, communities start saving the money. And the reason for that is that the communities are proactive. They are saying to government, we are willing partners. And they don't wait for government to give them. They lead the process, they initiate, they implement. And that's good about PHP, is that communities are at the center of development of their own settlement, and they lead the process.
Bobby, I mean, it sounds to me like it's a very intractable process. You know, it feels to me like a developer-led housing project would be quicker and easier for government to manage. What makes you guys support the people's housing process?
You know, in Setswana, we've got lereo lereng letsema, meaning we as Africans, we are very good at working together if we are eager and want to have something nicer as our end product. Thus, as the municipality, we encourage our beneficiaries to access PHP in order for them to work together and build bigger houses.
Patrick, you've been working with these things on the ground, you know, practically implementation. If I'm sitting wherever I'm sitting, watching this program, what problems should I look out for and how should I avoid them?
Some people, they don't understand what is the PHP. As Popish has mentioned, is that when we take the business plan, they think maybe tomorrow the business plan has been approved. And it's a long journey to have that. How do we prepare ourselves? Buy door frames, window frames, whatever it comes to a house should be bought by that time so that when they approve the business plan, people should be able not to look back but to look forward.
So the main thing to remember is that it is not a short process.
Yes.
But at the end of it,
Yes.
you will be satisfied. Mike, anything you'd like to add on this?
Yeah, well, I think material management is very, very critical. Otherwise, you're going to lose half of your material. So in the project that we're doing, we did not do what is called double handling. It's one handling. The material comes from the supplier, it goes straight to the beneficiary. And you as a beneficiary, you are responsible for your material. So that management of the material is very, very critical.
Patrick, you want to add to this?
The local government and provincial government up until national, they should not look at it as if it's something that where you're going to make business.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a business mind because you use the same subsidy from 15,000 or whatever, 36,000 up until the last 000.
Jamina, congratulations on your house. Poppy, congratulations to see you got a baby coming. Looks good on you. Mike, Patrick, thank you so much for coming through to the program.
It's a pleasure, bro. It's a pleasure.
Please join us again next week for the next episode of Breaking New Ground. And thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.